So we're sharing experience on how cassava seed models work. This session is going to be moderated by Dr. Chika Okata.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to work based on the existing protocols. And I assure us this session is not going to last long. It will be very brief. In the next 20 minutes, we'll be out of this place and make sure our food doesn't get cold. Nigeria is the highest producer of cassava. Yes, we know that too well. By 2018, we had about, by record, it was approximately 60 million metric tons. 60 million metric tons. And that's not enough, because there's a gap. What do you want? Don't worry. So there's a gap of about 28.3 million metric tons. That's the demand from the industrial end. We're not talking of the traditional market now. How do we bridge this gap? That's why I'm glad with what BASIC is doing. BASIC, SPIND, and of course, Market System in Niger Delta made projects by introducing this innovation on commercializing this cassava seed system. And I think I want to, because before 2018, the production in Nigeria was about between 52 and 53 million metric tons. And the leap to about 60, I want to give that credit to this innovation. And the Village Seed Entrepreneur Initiative, so many people benefited from it, and we're going to get their experiences, both the processors and the core village seed entrepreneurs. Share this experience is Yemisi Eraloye. She is the Managing Director of Sultry International in Oyo State. I'm not going to introduce them based on this. If you have this, their profiles are here, so that I will save time. You're welcome, madam. The next person is Ajibola Johnson. Ajibola Johnson is IFAD VCDP beneficiary. We are gender sensitive. The next person is Blessing Ngufon Chichi, Benue Women Forum. Is she here? Blessing. The next person is George Ajabo. George Ajabo is a cassava seed entrepreneur from Delta State. And we have Christine Krier. He's an agronomist with ACAI, with African Cassava Agronomy Initiative. Okay, let me start with you, madam. Do you agree that there's an increase in the demand for stems between 2020 and now?
Thank you very much, moderator. Of course, there is a geometric increase in the demand for STEM between 2020 and now. And this demand is propelled by the fact that there are more cassava processing factories today in Nigeria. Then the existing processing factories are equally expanding, so they need more roots. They need more cassava roots. And because they need more cassava roots, it means that we need more stem to be able to plant. And for us who are in the manufacturing space, we just don't want the cassava, we want good quality cassava, which can only be produced from good quality stem. So it's a combination of so many things that have made the demand to increase. Alongside that, more people were eating fufu, gari, and cassava-related food since last year up till now because of the economic factor that happened during the COVID. So if you combine that factor, the food demand, and then the increase in the factories and the expansion in the various factories, there's a geometric increase in the demand for cassava stem, good variety cassava stem right now in Nigeria.
Oh, beautiful. Ajibola, the cassava seed system, you think is profitable?
Of course, sir.
Based on your experience?
Yes, sir.
So let us hear you.
Well, cassava seed system was profitable and is still profitable for both stakeholder and all the value chain in cassava production. Let me start from where I started with this cassava production. Since 2006, I've been farming with different stems that I didn't know the source of the stem. This now reduced the yield I'm getting from a nectar. But when FGN IFAD FCDB came on board, I was sent to National Root Crop Research Institute at Umudike in 2017. Then we were trained on cassava stem multiplication. By then, when we came back, we were able to give 1 hectares of seed that can cover 1 hectare. With that, we all planted it. To cut the story short, presently we have 330 hectares of good variety planted in my cluster now.
You started with how many?
With just 10. Now, if I tell you how we do it and what the production, the cost of production you can put in place in an hectare, and the outcome you are going to generate from an hectare, you will know how profitable is cassava seed. For an hectare, in our own area, it may be vary from one axis to the other. You won't spend nothing less than 250 to 280,000 naira per hectare to cultivate an hectare. If you are planting it in 0.1 meter by 0.5, there are people plant it 1 meter by 0.7 or 0.8, but the good way to plant stem is 1 meter by 0.5. If you do that, at least in an hectare, you won't see nothing less than 20,000 stands. If you plant with good agronomic practices, you plant an hectare with 20,000 stands. As a cassava expert, we all know that 1 stand can give us more than 2 seed, 2, 3 to 5, up to 5. Within 6 to 7 months of planting, you can do your first ratoning. If you raton it, let's assume you realize 2 seed per stand. That will give you about 40,000 seeds in an hectare. When you now multiply the 40,000 seeds, 1 bundle is made up of 50 seeds. With this, when you divide the 40,000 seeds by 50, it will give you 800 bundles. At least, worst case scenario, if you realize 800 bundles from an hectare, you have heard from the keystone that we have heard from one of our doctors here that at least there are some states are selling the stem per bundle 2,000 naira. But in our own area, we sell, for the past 6-7 months now, we sell 700, 800 per bundle. Let's say worst case scenario, you sell a bundle 500 naira. Let's assume you sell the bundle 500 naira. Now multiply the 500 naira times 800 bundle, you know what we get. Minus the cost of production that you put in place. That's the first ratoning. There is room for second or third ratoning. if you want to do your second rattoning, you can't spend nothing less than 50, maybe 50 to 70,000. Because the good agronomic practices you put in place with the 6-step weed management, you don't need to weed immediately after rattoning your feed. You wait for at least 8 to 10 weeks before you do the second application of post-emergence. With that, if you do your second rattoning again, at least minimum, you won't see nothing less than 800. Let's assume that. You may see more than that, because when you ratton, the cassava will sprout. It will give you several sprouting down the one you ratton before. With that, when you now multiply that again, and the root is there for you again, when you now calculate all your production costs and the income, if you're now having 1, 2, 5, 10 hectares of seed, you know what you get in a year. With that, that calculation, if you take your pen and calculator, you will see is really that is profitable.
Fantastic. I think this is the way to go. Seed business. Madam Blessing, how did you start in your own case? And just tell us, and what has made you to grow? I guess you have grown. So let us hear.
We are truly growing. How we started is just because of the market, the stem market. We are able to handle weed with the use of 6 steps and herbicide calculator. Before now, we could farm just about 4 to 5 hectares, but we could not handle weed very well. It was our problem. And the reason why we are growing so fast is because of the stem profitability. And bringing the market stem to others who cannot go afar to get them. That is the reason why we are bringing so much at home, so that we farm it very close to them where they will be able to get the stems. The companies that are springing up around us are demanding so much. And so if you are not able to feed them with the roots and stem, they won't know how to continue their business also. Working in cluster is another machine, another tool that has helped us to grow so fast. We are in a cooperative and we combine to work together. And we trust each other so much. We have corrected our like terms. You understand? They like minds. We come together to work and to expand the work. And so it is working so very wide and high so that we'll be able to get food on our table, and the food security around the country will be controlled. That's the reason why we are growing very fast like that.
Okay, that's very good. You started with how many hectares?
We started just with about 4 to 5 hectares. But as of now, we can boast of 70 hectares.
Okay, that's great.
And we are ready to start another one with another 100 hectares. Our people are seriously, helping us and assisting us. As you can see, our
commissioner.
Our commissioner sitting here, he is seriously, supporting us, providing spaces for our work for us. And so this has given us a lot of good heart to work.
Okay.
Because we can be able to get the land. The land is the very issue. If you have the heart to do it, but the land is not there, you cannot do it.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. George, in your own case, also tell us, how did you start? And then, if you have grown, what are the factors
If I could just simply say...
Briefly, in the next...
If I could just simply say I'm a product of Basic 1 and end there, I think I've done justice to that. But however, it will be good for me to share with you some experiences, especially the tough time we had before I went into seed production. Actually, in 2015, I planned to set up a modular mill, and I have to do some survey on existing mills. So I visited 15 mills and 3 factories, cassava processing plants. I discovered that about 70% of the mills I visited have no activity going on. They were packed up. And it was so discouraging. But I have to ask why. I discovered that their problem was lack of materials. So I now remembered what my mentor once said to me. If you must be a successful processor, you must own at least 75% of your source of material. So I decided to go into primary production first. So I acquired 40 hectares of land for cassava cultivation. I prepared the land ignorantly. I didn't make plans for seeds. So at the time to plant, I had discovered that I hadn't enough seed to plant 40 hectares. And that became a very big problem. I must tell you, it failed because of the 40 hectares that was prepared, I was only able to plant 15 hectares. And the 15 hectares, the seeds that I got to plant the 15 hectares was sourced from within. And I was not mindful of the quality of the seed. And it affected my production. And as fate will have it, a day came, I received a phone call, and somebody there was telling me, you have been nominated to attend a training for cassava production. And the question was, will you attend? Just yes or no. I have to give the person 100 yes. And I will be glad to tell you that that person is the moderator, Chika Okata. I was in that training, and the focus was on seed business, seed entrepreneurship. And the focus was on raising village seed entrepreneurs who will be community cassava seed entrepreneurs. And at the end of the program, he offered me the opportunity to know all that is in seed business. And that was the beginning. What has actually made me successful was the training. I've come to know that you can't do well in what you don't know how to do. The training impacted so positively on me, and we started from there. I got a starter pack at the end of the program, and when I came back home, I bought additional bundles of cassava stem to start my seed multiplication, my seed business. And it has grown from that little stage to a very big stage. And as you can see, or as I can tell you, I've not only been able to provide seed for myself, I've also been able to provide seed for my community and the states. And I would gladly also tell you, my commissioner is here. The state government, those state government, Delta state government have patronized my seed business.
That's
good.
good.
I'll stop here for time.
That's very good. Christian, I think I would say that COVID is not as bad as we think it is. If you ask me why, I'll tell you. I think the COVID pandemic has introduced us to a lot of initiatives. We now know that we don't need to travel much before we achieve what we want to achieve. a lot of activities, meetings are now done virtually, online. And it's same thing with the agricultural sector. Most of the good agronomic practices now are done digital. So IT has Akilimo. I don't know much about that. And I think Christine will take us through what Akilimo is all about.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Akilimo is a suite of digital decision support tools, and it's designed to help farmers to make informed decisions to increase their profit with their cassava farms. So we give advice, decision support for fertilizer recommendation on when to harvest and plant, cassava maize intercropping, and of course what I think all of you know under the name 6 Steps is cassava weed management combined with best planting practices if you need to till, if you need to ridge, or if it's not worthwhile. So now we have meanwhile reached about 100,000, more than 100,000 farmers with our tools. And how do we do that? We work with our partners. One of our development partners of Akilimo is actually here, that is Yemesi with Paltry. They have integrated Akilimo into their operations. And we see that of those farmers who use Akilimo, actually about 50% of them have applied most of the steps that we recommend. But one of the, beyond the direct decision support, what is really crucial for Akilimo is the use of good agricultural practices. Without that, you don't need to apply fertilizer, for example. And a lot of you are familiar with the 6 steps. So the 6 steps enable farmers to make good decisions on how to manage their wheat, to have a good field establishment, and later to have a field that can be managed well. So that's one of our basic tools that is very useful to be applied. And I've also heard that for some of you, like Madame Blessing was sharing yesterday, that for her it's a useful tool. And then, of course, what we also spend effort on, we have just published a guide on Akilimo. We have one chapter that is dedicated to the use of improved and healthy seeds. And one of the feedbacks that we also got from our partners, from the farmers, we did a use and uptake survey and also asked, what are your constraints? Constraints remains access to inputs, and among those access to inputs, also access to improved seeds locally available. So I think there is a lot more demand for what all of you are doing here.
Beautiful. Quick one. If you want to access the Akilimo, how do you access it? Is there any code?
So if you want the truly digital form of it, we have an app. So if you go to Play Store, Google Play Store, and enter Akilimo, you will find it and you can download it. And it will guide you beautifully to everything you need to do. Another option is to use Viambro 321. That is an IVR system. It is free, and you use Airtel. And otherwise, we have printable guides that are also very helpful. You can access those through our website.
Okay, beautiful. I think because of time, if anybody wants to use it, can download it. If you have issues, you can try and reach Dr. Atsa to support you on that. We are going to take just 3 questions, two female and 1 male. Hands up. Okay, Dr. Small one. Who else? Women. Don't say your birthright too. Who? Okay, 2 other persons, male. Okay, no other questions, just Dr. Smoa. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My own is more of a commendation. The young man from Ogun State, he was among the cassava seed entrepreneurs we trained at Umudike in 2017.
Yes, sir.
We trained him and onboarded him. And we have seen how far he has gone. So this will show you that if these youths are supported, I think the sky is their limit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, to add to that,
Quick one, we don't have time.
is because of the work of our commissioner, the governor of our state, and the SPC of Fifth and Fifth DP.
I agree with you. Christian, give us your parting word, just in 1 minute. Okay. Sorry, you have a question?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Quick one.
Okay, so I'm very happy with the man from Ogun State.
Everybody is.
I actually have a small farm somewhere in Baden, 1 hectare. I didn't even realize that I could make money from the stems. My attention was just on the tubers. So that's why I really enjoyed what he was saying. But I want to ask, because he mentioned it's something you have to do first throating or second throating. So maybe I'll meet you after this for the details of that. What is the process to actually gain from this stem again, apart from the tubers? I don't know if that question makes sense.
Okay. You talked about that. So,
Your question, let me clear with your question. How can you gain from stem apart from tubers? That's what I explained.
Explain again, briefly.
When you are doing stem multiplication, you will also have tubers. But the tubers the tonnage may less than that of when you go for full production of tubers. Because of the distance, when you want to plant for tubers, you may plant 1 meter by 0.8 or 1 meter by 1 meter. It depends on the variety. But when you are planting for stem, you are going to plant 1 meter by 0.5. That will be closer than that of production of tubers. With that, the stems will mulch. The tubers, because of the closeness, may somehow reduce. Likewise, when you are planting corn, anything you plant that is choke, the yield will reduce. But the stem, the seed that you are going to get from it will more than that of the tubers.
Okay. For the sake of time, I'm going to do the parting words for this panel. I asked for long and you will... Okay, talk, we can hear you.
Our problem is the sense of these seeds. Hello? Okay. So, farmers have these stems to sell, but because we have our farmers that have their own farm, they'll be replicating their farm all this year, and they have all the seeds. The problem is when you have demand and supply. The supply is getting higher than demand. The price falls. Now in Odo State, we are selling between 400 naira and 600 naira. But the problem is, how can we get market so that we can have the benefit, more benefit to accrue to our farmers than they are getting?
Okay. You want to take that? Okay, quickly. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yes, I want to answer that question for you. In Benue State, we have a group of women that do the seed. And so in each and every local government, we have about 50 women who have about 20 hectares of cassava farm. And so they will come and take it from us. Who are the seed producers? For themselves. That's about 14 local governments coming to buy from you. And maybe they have about 20 or more hectares. They are coming to take from you. And every year you are producing so that other people will be coming to take from you. That's your market. And maybe some other people will be applying for it. We are in the air everywhere. We encourage you to do so. And people will be looking for you to come to get your stems from you. Another small one I wanted to chip in was to encourage the woman, not only here, even outside here, who are not here together with us. If this program will succeed, it's simply because women have jumped inside. If you go outside there, oh, that's true. If you go outside there and you discover that most of the farms are owned by women, and simply because they have put themselves together to work and to bring out the result all of us are looking for. So
okay.
I'm encouraging
women
inside and outside here to work hard, to come together and to bring out the result.
Quick one in 1 minute. That's the sort of we'll round up.
I just want to say that the seed we are talking about is not just ordinary stem. So I see us mixing this whole thing. The seed we are talking about are breeder seeds. And these seeds are the ones that gives you 30 tons and above. So when they buy from you once and they see the difference between what that gives you and just anybody selling 200 naira, 300 naira, everybody will patronize.
Thank you, madam.
So there's great demand for starch products, cassava products in the country right now. All the starch factories, ethanol factories are looking for cassava. And we are all looking for cassava that has very high starch content. Fantastic. And you can only get those ones with high starch content if you plant the right seed that is already breeded to give you good starch content. So it is good market, it is good business. It's something that people should go into so that year in year out we can be turning out good cassava. And if you have good starch content, we will buy more. We buy according to starch content. Yep. So if you give cassava of 10%, you will get small money. Yeah. If you have cassava of 30%, we will put a big premium on it because it saves us energy, saves us all the stress. We use less to be able to manufacture what we are manufacturing. So seed business is good business and it should be encouraged, and that's the way forward for the growth of cassava industry in Nigeria.
Fantastic. That's the pattern word for this panel. But for me, what I want us to understand is, I've been in this for a while. I see some, even projects, what they do is to distribute stems to farmers free of charge. And I say it's not sustainable, and we should, as much as possible, discourage that. Otherwise, it's going to make mess of what we are doing in basics. So if there's any project that is doing that, I don't think that project is working to to be sustainable. That's one. Finally, the seed system is the way to go. And I'll put it this way: the breeder suffers or labors in vain if the seeds do not get to the farmers. If the farmers cannot access the seeds, the breeder labors in vain. Thank you.
Please, I want to just quickly chip in to say that to have quality seed continued, there will be need for availability of the breeder's seed and foundation seed for the CSCs for multiplication. It's very important, especially now that we're talking of basic 2. And I want to advocate for continuous training. It's very important. Continuous training and sensitization. Even if we have to repeat all we did in basic 1. You see, I always told people that learning doesn't end. You continue to learn. And when we are in kindergarten, we are taught to recite ABC many times, even for a whole year. And that is how it got into us. So I advocate for that. As a trainer, I know what it is. to have people properly trained, because ignorance is a disease. I also want to urge the NISC to please simplify this education system. Please keep up with the subsidy, don't remove it, so that we can continue to certify our seeds at low cost.
Okay.
So
that's all.
So that's all. Then finally, farmers' apathy need to be taken care of, because actually I'm in there, I know what we face. We do a lot of sensitization for these people to know that they need to buy quality seeds. For the local man, they don't see the reason why they should buy seed. They just revolve what they have.
That's okay.
And that
that's
is not
right.
too good. So that is what I want to chip in, sensitization. Okay. Thank you.
If I may also add maybe one call or one plea, I think we have all learned that farmers need sometimes access to credit and that they are still struggling with access to inputs like fertilizer or seeds. So I'm wondering if we could put forces together to look more at bundling of services, where farmers can get access to agricultural recommendations and advice, and at the same time get access to the inputs that they require.
Okay. I think we'll end it there. Thank you very much.